Welcome to US Rugby Happy Hour Live. Interviews with the biggest names in American rugby.
The New England Free Jacks, Major League Rugby champions. One-on-one to score.
Here are your hosts, Bill Baker and that other guy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. This is US Rugby Happy Hour Live. I'm Bill. This is John Fitzpatrick. Fitzy, say words.
Say words.
Perfect. Man, you read the script perfect. I can't. When I wrote that, I thought there's no way Fitz is going to get that down. But wow, he got that
blank
down.
yourself, San Diego? Oh, no, I shouldn't have read that.
No, don't read that.
Thank you, man.
Listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Those of you tuning in live already, we see a few popping in pretty quick. We really do appreciate it. If you could, take your seats, get yourself some popcorn, some Skittles, and a drink. We're going to have a nice little conversation tonight with the brand new USA Rugby men's sevens coach, Simon Amor. But before that, Fitzy and I like to hear ourselves talk, so we're going to talk about a few things, Fitzy. First of all, let's just say this real quick. Our thoughts and our heart go out to the people in Florida. Hopefully, Hurricane Martin, is that it is right now? Martin, I believe it is?
Milton,
thank you. Sorry. Just those people in the path in Tampa and through the center of Florida, good luck. I hope you're all safe, including some of my family members and others. And this does not look good. But anyway, getting past that, Fitzy, there's been some rugby news this week. USA Women just released their roster their squad for this Friday's match against Ireland. I love Friday matches, by the way.
Yeah, same.
Ireland is no joke. They are very good, although USA has beaten them a number of times over the years. The last time, I think, was in 2018. I love this roster. I think the USA roster has been strong the entire WXV1. Big stuff here. They've just been making a lot of mistakes discipline-wise. We could talk about that another night. But some big news with this game is Hope Rogers is about to earn her 50th cap. She's one off from the most ever from USA women's player, right behind Hall of Famer Jamie Burke. And then Kate Zachary's right there, about to get 40. So there's a lot. And I think Katie Benson's up there, too. I know she's not involved in this match at all, but she's right up there.
46, I think, 45, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, she's right up there. There's a lot of caps, and they're still playing great. And you know that Hope Rogers is not going to be stopping anytime soon. She's so much fun to watch, especially when she plays with Exeter in Europe. She's a lot of fun to watch. Also, Fitz, I want to get your input on this. The Major League Rugby news is the Dallas Jackals have had their dispersal draft. Sending players out to other teams. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to sign with those teams, but the teams did select players. Mm-hmm. I did notice at the USA Rugby end, the Carolina Anthem did select a few USA players, including Makina Alakan, Jason Tidwell, and Sam Gola. Obviously, Sam, I think, is the biggest name of all that as far as his impact on the team, being injured. Any other players that stood out to you, some bigger names that might have landed in a team?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest name is certainly the three you mentioned, certainly Sam being at the top of the list, and he was selected first overall by Anthem in that dispersal draft. No surprise there. Again, as you mentioned, doesn't mean the player will sign with the club, but I have a good feeling that's probably going to happen there with given everything going on with Anthem and the men's Eagles. I mean, Bill, in your neck of the woods, you've got to be excited if Geronimo Gomez-Vara does sign with the New England Free Jacks. He is a stud. Like, he's one of my favorite players, plays with a lot of energy and passion. If he joins that back row and, they can ease Colorado.
Already strong back row, Fitz. Already strong. Yeah.
That's scary. So that's a scary one.
I didn't realize he was 30. Which I don't think he's playing like a 30-year-old. I think 30 is a great age for rugby, but bring him to the New England Free Jacks. I'm happy about that.
Got one
who's
more.
The other player? Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say one guy who's just steady, who's just gets all around the place. Ronan Foley, Canadian, who got selected by the Miami Sharks. If he joins, there's a great back row there. Manuel Ardao down there, Ben Bonasso. So if he signs down there, steady guy, like. Big fan of Ronan Foley.
Yeah, me too. And no one likes to see teams go under in Major League Rugby. It happens. It will happen again. I think the league is still pretty strong right now. The positive side of that is that teams like Anthem, New England, DC picked up a couple players, will be stronger. I really think so. It happened when New York went under, Toronto went under. Dylan Foss ended up in Chicago and had a great season for Chicago. So positives. I mean, if you want to look at it that way, there are some positives in there. But, other thing with the anthem, I do know, or as we know, we talked to Scott Lawrence a couple weeks ago, or just last week. Maybe you weren't there.
Sorry,
you weren't there.
Sorry about last week. I missed you and Sione. Sorry about last week.
All right, Scott Lawrence and Sione Foca were on without Fitzy. But anyway, I asked Scott Lawrence about Anthem if we will see more. Yeah, maybe. No. I asked him if we'll see more USA Eagles landing in Charlotte for this next 2025 season. All he said was, yes.
Yeah.
That's all he would say. So, and I've heard rumors about other players too, so obviously it's still early, and we will see more players moving around. All right, that's it for that news. Listeners, if you don't mind, please give us a like, follow, and subscribe on this show, whether it's the live show here on YouTube or Facebook, or the podcast replay the very next day. Every Thursday after a live show, the podcast will be will be posted. Oftentimes, we will have two guests in these shows, and when we do that, we tend to split those shows up into two different podcasts. Just for easier listening, and for some people may not, may prefer one guest or the other, which is fine, whatever your preference is. But please, again, do so. Please like, follow, subscribe, and go ahead and comment as well. Even for tonight, during our live show, if you're watching live, streaming live, there's some good numbers right now. Leave us some comments. If you have a question for our guest, we'll try to get it on the best we can. If you want to comment on how pretty John Fitzpatrick's hat is, you can comment on that too. Very nice. All right, with that said, you ready? Let's move on. Let's get on to our guest. Making his live debut. No, take that back. He's been on, maybe live debut in the U.S. He's been on video already with our friend Alex Goff. Okay, how about making his live debut on YouTube in the U.S.? Let's go with that. Let's just pretend that's real. Let's all welcome the new head coach of the USA Men's Sevens program, Simon Amor. Hey, Simon. How are you, buddy?
Hey, guys. Great to be here. Live debut it is. So yeah,
let's just go with it. Yep, national debut on live internet. Well, Simon. Anyway, welcome. I'm assuming are you in the States now?
Yeah, I'm in San Diego right now. I'm in Chula Vista at the Elite Training Center. It's absolutely beautiful here. The last couple of days have been absolutely stunning. So yeah, arrived on Sunday and loving life. Really, really exciting times.
Well, you're not going to leave because that's the way it is all year long. It's that way 365 days a year. So you're not going anywhere.
Tell you what, I'm putting sun cream on every single day, and I think that'll continue. So yeah, that's all good.
Well, Simon, let's dig into it. We have a crack researchers. We have a crack research team, two people named Wiki and Pedia.
You can't trust them.
Pretty good.
No. Well, they sent us information on you, and we're like, some of those things don't sound right. So tell our listeners a bit about your background. For those people who don't know who you are or don't know your background, I'll talk about it, maybe some of your playing days, but more importantly, your coaching days leading up to this moment.
Okay. Well, I started off actually as a sevens player back, it must have been 25 years ago or something like that. I played a bit of English Premiership rugby for Gloucester and Wasps, but most of my time was England sevens. And I captained the team for about 7 years and had a wonderful time. We won Hong Kong about 4 times. I was lucky enough to be World Player of the Year in 2004, I think it was. I think that's the first time it was done. So, and was coached by somebody called Mike Friday, who you may have heard of. So,
yeah.
Never heard of him. and I hung up the boots and then got into coaching. And I started off initially actually with England Women's Sevens and then did a little stint in 15s. And then for about 7 years, I headed up England Sevens and Great Britain Sevens and took them to the Rio Olympics. And we got a silver medal there back in 2016. And I did a short stint working under Eddie Jones for England, doing the attack for them. We won the 6 Nations and 8 Nations about 2020. And then the last couple of years I've been in Japan and helped them qualify for the Paris Olympics, and then got this quite incredible opportunity to come across the States and just go on this incredible journey that I think is just so special right now. So I feel so honored and genuinely lucky to be here and really excited.
Well, so Simon, you've got a pretty full resume there, and we'll get to some more of that in a second there. And you nailed it on the year, 2004. You glossed over it quickly. You first ever World Rugby Sevens Player of the Year. There happens to be a player, I believe, on the USA current squad, Perry Baker, who's also won it, I believe, twice, so back to back. So you're gonna have words with Perry about who was better when you guys are in the
Yeah, I mean, it's those type of accolades. They're very nice, but it was never something that motivated me. I was, I was a person that didn't like the limelight. Still don't particularly like the limelight, if I'm being honest. It's always been about the team and my experiences with the team and being part of a team and the journey and that. And so, yeah, I guess it's not something that's particularly resonates strongly with me. But I recognise it's an important thing for others. So. And certainly for Barry, I mean, those 2 years that he won it, he was just untouchable. I mean, it was just some of the tries he did there. You just went, how, and wow. And if that didn't inspire people to play the game, I don't know what would. So, yeah.
I think my favorite was when he was running down the field and he was kind of spinning the rugby ball almost like a basketball on his finger, that iconic photo. If I tried that, I would knock the ball forward. So
And you would be benched.
yeah. If they even would let me on the field. Yeah, exactly. Well, Simon, you brought up Mike Friday, and you guys know each other. Obviously, you're taking over a program that he's been a part of for 10 years. Certainly a long time in any type of coaching profession. I mean, I guess whether it's Mike or not, you just feel like those are big shoes to fill, given that someone was in that position for so long.
Yeah, I mean, and certainly. Mike's someone I've known, like I said, for 25 years, had a strong influence on me as a player and helped me transition into the coaching world as well. So be somebody I'll always be incredibly appreciative and thankful for. And, when he took over this program, the team was, I think, 13th in the world. And he put in place like everything that is here in Chula Vista right now. So like incredibly grateful. I think the USA Rugby should be for that. And yeah, big shoes to fill. So yeah, I mean, it's a daunting one, but one I did a lot of research into the role before I even applied for it. Was I the right person for it? Could I make a difference? Could I make the commitment that I thought was required in terms of, being here 100%, living in the States and the challenges that has with my own family situation. And ultimately it was 1,000% yes in the end. So excited about that. But I think the USA Rugby should always be grateful for the incredible foundations that Mike and Phil Greening as well put in place here.
Now, did you have any conversations with Mike leading up to that decision to run for the position? And were there warnings? Was there some advice about what you're about to face?
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, it'd be foolish for me not to have picked his brains on all his experiences and stuff. And even when I was with Japan, we used to come here quite often and work quite collaboratively there in terms of developing both USA and Japan. And he was very stark and honest as Mike is. Like Mike is up front. Mike is black and white. Yeah. That's the way he is. He tells you as it is. And he didn't hold anything back, but he also said what an amazing opportunity it is. And particularly in terms of the players coming through and the opportunity of there and the talent that was there. If we get this one right with a few changes here and then, a bit more resources here or there, then there could be something special. So, yeah.
So I read somewhere you said this is, an incredible and an amazing opportunity, obviously. So why? Is it, no, I don't mean that in a funny way. Yes, it does come that way. But is it like the growth potential in front of you with the game here in the States? Is it the opportunity maybe to medal in the Olympics on home soil?
It's a golden once in a lifetime opportunity. You've got a home Olympics on the horizon, followed by a World Cup men, World Cup women. I mean, if there was ever a time to transform the sport, the opportunity to genuinely ignite the game here and bring it to the masses and get it into the universities. And then as a result of that, just change the lives for so many people. Even when I was speaking with a lot of the players, some of the stories they've been through in terms of joining the program and their lives and how it's impacted them, just for those few people, how positive it has been incredible. The diversity is incredible here. So the opportunity to do something that just transforms the country, transforms so many lives, I think is just, incredible. I've used incredible a few too many times, haven't I? But it's special, it's unique, and I feel fortunate.
Yeah, and Simon, I got to imagine, as part of your research, and you've followed everything that's going on over the last few weeks and months, certainly, the USA Women's Sevens program and the job that head coach Emily Bidwell has done, and just the dramatic way the women won the bronze medal match, coming from behind 90 meters for Spiff, running down. And then, of course, she has to kick the conversion. I mean, I could replay that moment all the time. But like, as you talk about incredible, I think that is a good word to use, right? It's the operative word there. I mean, you've got outside of the sevens program, you know, the college numbers appear to be going up, right? Participation numbers are going up. And you've got, you know, the most popular rugby player in the world right now happens to be Amor, who's on Dancing with the Stars right now, magazine covers, things like that. But I guess maybe that's the way the women have won. The bronze certainly helped. But, and I'm getting to my question here, do you anticipate, you know, crystal ball, like another uptick in interest, you know, if the men were to do something similar on home soil in LA?
Yeah, I mean, like I have no crystal ball here, but my understanding of the way that America embraces Olympic sports and Olympic success and winning and getting medals, I can see only positives from something as successful as that. And what would the dream be? Well, the dream would be both teams on the podium. I mean, that's if you got both teams on the podium. I mean, how special would that be? Now, look, there's 4 years to go, and there's an awful lot of work required and stuff. And you know, I'm sure I was chatting with them today, and you know, with some of the changeovers in her squad and old players retiring and moving on, how they've got to evolve and change and stuff. There's a journey to go on there. But yeah, the ambition's there. The desire is there, the work ethic is there to make it happen. Now we've just got to hope the rugby gods line up for us and play the game properly.
So Simon, let's talk about the squad you're walking into, or at least maybe players you already have available to you, and any you might add now. I know you said you already talked to most of the players, if not all, via Zoom. Do you already have a squad set to go to camp soon, or are you still looking to build it?
Yeah, no, there's an established squad at the moment here in Chula Vista of around about 17 or 18 kind of players that have been selected. That were selected before I came on board. And there's some genuine talent there, like genuine talent. The challenge we've got is looking at it, there's, I don't know, probably 7, 8 or so of the Olympic boys of moving on. So we've lost quite a fair bit of that leadership and that experience, but definitely the youth coming through, the potential there is enormous. So the challenge we have is in the 7 weeks until Dubai. How do we bring that together? How do we create that identity, create that attacking and defending philosophies, evolve, which is what you've always got to do in elite level sport, and as well create that connection in the culture. That's going to be the challenge of the next 7 weeks until we move into Dubai. And like my role very much at the moment, because of the visa situations, I'm just here observing and checking and settling in. So yeah, it's a challenge for the next 7 weeks, that's for sure.
Wait, sorry, what do you mean by that? I mean, are you not able to coach, head coach? You just...
No, I'm just observing at the moment. Yeah, because of
you don't have that work visa or something.
Yeah. So I'm here just supporting and helping and guiding in that kind of way, and just observing effectively. So,
all right, so let's talk about. I mean, you're obviously observing, but you're also probably taking in everything that you're going to need to tackle at some point, or at least maybe generally speaking. When you look at the American landscape, you know, in Europe, you know, a lot of clubs have academies and they grow the players to the academies. The United States obviously has a university system that they work with, which has been solidifying over the years and getting better and better. Have you had a thought or a time to think about, okay, when it gets time for me to start searching for players with talent ID, whatever else, this is where I'm going, or this is how I'm going to do it. Are you there at all yet?
At the moment, I'm learning the rugby landscape in the US.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. I'm learning that. I'm talking to lots of people and checking it, and that's the challenge and the opportunity with the states all around is just the sheer scale and size of the place, the number of opportunities. So I think the risk going forward, well, certainly from my experience at other places as well, is spreading everything too thinly, myself too thinly, and actually being really targeted on where's going to make the biggest impact and the biggest difference, and having the right conversations there. So that's the learning journey I think I've got to go on over the next period of weeks and months as to how can we be specific. I mean, so for example, the evidence is if you want to win a medal at the Olympics, you need to have an average age of 26, and an average number of World Series tournaments of 28. That's generally speaking, if you take the Fijians out of this, that's generally what medalists have. And that means probably for someone in Los Angeles, they're probably in our system already. They're pretty much there. Doesn't mean you can't find someone, a diamond in the rough, that can add to it. But the majority of the squad will pretty much be there for us already, on the radars, in the system already. So how do we make them as best they can be effectively? How do we really put all our resources into making them fantastic? And then actually putting a little bit around to look at other people.
Simon, I want to jump back a second. We were talking about you talked to the players via Zoom. Can you share more about what you discussed with them? Obviously, it wasn't more like this as, "Hi, I'm Simon, and we'll see you soon." There was obviously more involved. And I understood also, like myself, when I coach, I like to get to know each of the players individually, and I heard that about you also. So talk about those conversations you have with the players.
Yeah, the most important thing I've learned from my years in coaching is the connections, the one-to-one connections, like understanding the individual. And that was even more stark and came to life when I spoke to the different players. You'd speak to one player that was this background, one player that was Polynesian, one player that was African American, and it just changed in their life story. So I was really trying to understand them as a person, what they've been through, how long they've been in the program, what their rugby experience would be, their training age, how long they've been doing sevens, how many tournaments they'd have, and what they felt their strengths were, what they felt their work-ons were. Information would be useful for me to understand the program a bit better. And it was fascinating, genuinely fascinating. The diversity of the conversation and the diversity of the people, and that just creates, an amazing opportunity to have an absolute super strength of the diversity of the team. It's also potentially its greatest challenge. How do you bring that diversity together?
One thing before, I know Fitzy has something to say here. I just want to make a comment here. Listeners who are tuning in live, thank you again so much. If people are leaving comments, I just want to say we have someone from Morocco listening in and someone else with a language I can't read. So Middle East probably somewhere. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for commenting. All right, Fitzy, go on.
I was going to translate that for a second.
Oh, thank you.
No. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's something as you talk about the diversity, what springs to mind to me sometimes, and as part of probably the landscape of understanding the rugby landscape here in the U.S. and the opportunities and just some of the athletes that we have that are coming from other sports, right? That maybe haven't, they didn't pick up a rugby ball at age 3, 4, or 5. Maybe they played basketball or football or lacrosse or something else. And they got through college. Maybe they were a football player, and they were like, "These rugby guys over there look like they're having a lot of fun. I'm a lineman, and I can actually run with the ball. I'm gonna go slide over here." So I guess how do crossovers, for the lack of a better phrase, fit into the talent ID, or trying to bring in some other players into the mix?
No, it's a really good question, and there's certain criteria that I think are important for a rugby sevens player, but one of the most important ones to be successful is you've got to have an intrinsic motivation to push and challenge yourself fitness-wise. You've got to be a person that wants to go into a dark hole. I mean, it's a bizarre thing, rugby sevens people. It really is. But if you haven't got that inner drive to get up each day and basically run till you're sick and push yourself, because that is the game. That is the game. And that's the bit you see in people only when they get into the proper training and stuff. So you can do all the talent ID and you see the raw material stuff. That's when you put them on the pitch and you go, right, let's go 3 games in one day and let's get up the next morning and do it. That's when the real test is, and you can see that one there. So unfortunately, it's only until you put them in that you can genuinely see whether they've got the right raw materials for it. So.
And then I guess, kind of related to that, how does it work in terms of, we've seen in the past, some of the sevens players go to 15s and back and forth and vice versa, just depending on, how things are going or where they are in the cycle. I guess, what are your thoughts on, do you want the players to commit full time to sevens, commit full time to Chula Vista, or open to, hey, we've got some 15s guys that want to play sevens, or some sevens guys that maybe want to try 15s. Like, how does that factor into the mix?
Well, I guess if I was a young player right now with a home Olympics and a home 15s World Cup on the horizon, I'd pretty much be, can I do both? I'd be surprised if people didn't want to have a shot at both. And you want to help people fulfill their ambitions and their dreams. I mean, that'd be, and the impact they could have just for themselves and the country as well. So definitely be supportive of it. I mean, the challenge we have is that, you know, the physical running demands, the high-speed running lows for sevens is different to 15s. So to get people to that state of actually, can they run these amount of meters in this amount of time, recover and go again, requires different training to a 80-minute 15-a-side match. So it's just a straightforward conversation of how this could work with certain players. When does it fit into the season with the World Series starting and the like? But yeah, I mean, certainly you don't want to hold people back from ever achieving their dreams and their ambitions.
Now, I know you haven't been able to have the impact you want as a head coach yet on the field, but you're familiar with a lot of these players. Have you had a thought yet about maybe the style of play that this team will have, its personality, its character? Have you thought about that much yet?
Yeah, and that's a lot of the conversations around, like, understanding the players. So, and it's a really good question that came out up in the job interview, like, what's your playing philosophy? And I've always been, and I learned this quite strongly actually under Eddie Jones, to be fair, when I worked under him. Your playing philosophy has to adapt to the culture of the team, the culture of the nation that you're working with, and the strengths and the attributes and the characteristics of those athletes. There's no point asking people to play a certain style that doesn't fit those attributes, those characteristics of that culture. And what you can see quite clearly with what I'm learning quite clearly with the American athletes is, you know, being physical, being confrontational, being fast is what Americans like, which is very good for sevens.
Yes, absolutely. Simon, do you have goals set, like first year goals at all yet?
Yeah, pretty clear on that one. Like, the ambition would be, we were 9th last year, so can we be 8th this year? And if we get 8th, then as a result of that, we wouldn't be in that bottom 4 kind of challenge that moves into the playoffs against the Challenge Series. Given that most of the teams, I think maybe Australia got a new head coach, and I think France might be a little bit of change, but most of the teams, same coaches, most of the teams, very, very similar players. That's going to be a big challenge for us, but one I think we've got an opportunity to make that progress. And then slowly the following years, look at moving up those ranks to push on to get a medal in LA. So yeah, clear goals set up, big challenges, big opportunities.
Yeah, I guess a little more on that time. I guess then just, you know, the focus for that first year, right? And the balance between learning the players and adapting the style that the players are going to eventually play versus, you know, making sure, hey, there's a very clear, like, we need to be top 8 here so we can stay, you know, on the course circuit here. How do you find that balance? Or maybe it's too early yet, right? Because obviously it, you know, hasn't started until Dubai kicks off. But you know, I guess as you think ahead, like, how will you define what that balance looks like between making sure we get the results that we need, the points that we need in the standings, versus, you know, let's sprinkle this guy out here. Let's see what he's got.
I mean, that's the art of coaching, isn't it? I mean, ultimately, this is where it becomes about the feel and the stuff that you can't put metrics on. You've got your idea about what your system could look like. You're trying to assess how people are performing. You're trying to assess as a coach where people could progress to in tournaments or game time. You're assessing training. You're assessing the fit with the team. You're assessing where the whole team is itself in terms of its confidence going into a competition. And as a result, you know, that can all change on the face of the first game. And on the face of the first game, it can go much better or much worse than you thought it was. And then you've got to make some sort of adjustments around. So that's where you go back to your experience as a coach and be able to adapt in the moment as what's required. Like I said, the ambitions is definitely to be at top 8 or more. But if we get it a bit wrong, you know, we've got some young players and stuff that just make a few mistakes and get it. That happens. We have to adapt accordingly, and then we go into that bottom bit and we work on our strategy and keep on learning and getting forward. But I mean, one thing is very clear is that the potential, the talent there it's been put in place by previous regimes, by Mike and the like, is definitely there. It's how do we develop it quickly to be competitive and to progress to that medal slot. So
I want to jump over. Sorry, real quick. And Simon, you had a great interview with Alex Goff. Alex Goff is a legend over here. If you don't know, he's been covering the sport by himself for so long. Then these new guys like Bill Baker come along. But you were. I think I'll try and read the quote. You want to identify and mentor an American coach who can take over, X number of years. I mean, I guess it was funny because there was an interesting question that someone posted on social. Like, is it important that USA has an American coach leading the program, whether it's 7s or 15s? I mean, does that really matter?
Well, I think long term, I think it does matter. Yeah, long term, I think it does. I think developing. Generally speaking, if you look at 7s coaches, generally they've all played the 7s game, so they've come through in terms of understanding it, because it is quite unique. There is definitely technical, tactical, but there's also the psychological element that is 7s. The way the tournament works in terms of the days, the breaks, there is a psychological piece of being in that understanding and feeling that helps in that respect. So what you've got with USA at the moment is with this next generation have been playing. So the generation that have been playing, they're now moving out and retiring. And can they then move into the coaching and help? Can I help upskill them, help them, mentor them, so they can take the USA program going forward? I think that's important because it just starts to create that coach development opportunity. It creates that connection with the country.
In that same article or same quote, Simon, you mentioned American coach should take over in 4 years. Is that are you out in 4 years, your next chapter, or is that just kind of a general,
I mean, look, it's that's a good question. My focus is 1,000% commitment over this next 4 years to give USA Rugby and this group of players the very best chance they can to get a medal, and then from that, the USA system be in place to capitalize on that medal. So for USA Rugby to go forward and have the players, the system, the coaches, the staff, the performance staff in place, so then it can be that. That's what my ambition would be to be, and that's what I'm hoping we get.
A couple more things for you, Simon, before we let you go. We've often overused term of sleeping giant when it comes to rugby in the United States. We're, at least myself and Fitzy, are tired of hearing about it. But with the home Olympics, men's and women's World Cups, Major League Rugby growing in popularity, the Pathways programs, both 15s, 7s, maturing, this could be a very exciting time, maybe under your tenure as well. Do you feel any extra pressure, or does it make the gig all that much more exciting to do with the possibility of that huge growth, or maybe awakening that giant?
I've been really fortunate to be in elite coaching for 10, 15 years or so, and there is always pressure. Like wherever you go, there is pressure and stuff. And generally speaking, the biggest pressure is the internal pressure about you turning up as a coach and giving your best every single day. That's all I can do. That's all I can do. I can only turn up and give the players and the program the very best I can possibly give. And fingers crossed, that'll give us the results that we all want. It is 7s. I mean, the game can go and change so much in just one bounce of ball or whatever else and stuff like that. So all we can do is prepare, and that's all I'll do. So I just think it's just the most brilliant, I'm not going to say incredible, brilliant opportunity. I'm very fortunate to have this, and I'll give it my all, and hopefully that'll be good enough.
Simon, let's go back 20 years when you were the Player of the Year. I'm assuming you played the USA a few times.
I have actually. I was going through a while ago. Back then we used to swap jerseys after each tournament. Yeah. And I definitely have a USA jersey in there, very old school USA jersey. So yes, definitely.
Do you remember any of the players? Like any stood out to you? I'm trying to think. Was that the era of like Alex McElby or even Dan Lyle or somebody playing on the 7 side, or Todd Clever? I think was after that probably, but
I think they
or not.
Who's now was playing, I think, at the time. So yeah.
Well, speaking of jerseys, by the way, Mike Friday, after every appearance in the show, he sends us a uniform from somewhere. I'm kidding. Don't. And he did tell me the new coach will wear the same hats he wears in the sidelines. So
that's definitely not happening. Definitely.
Fitz, you got anything else for Simon before we let him go?
Yeah, Simon, you're in the San Diego area. I don't know if you're a Major League Baseball fan, but the San Diego Padres are in the playoffs right now. They're playing the Dodgers. I would do yourself a favor and just get yourself a San Diego Padres hat and just put it on and wear it around. People will be really nice to you.
People will connect up, will they? They'll be up in front of them. Yeah.
Well, Simon Amor, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure meeting you and talking to you like this. We wish you all the luck, and we're really excited to see what's coming up this next year with the Eagles.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time, guys.
All right, have a great night. Enjoy San Diego.
Thanks, sir.
See ya. Yeah, I love it. I feel like these guys, like him, Mike Friday, have the same attitude. And going back to Bringer as well, it's like I love the attitude of these coaches and the happiness and speaking of the program, speaking of what's ahead, and and what's there for us to watch. It's excited. Yeah. I mean, that was fun talking to Simon, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think you get a real sense of he understands and how attractive the job was, and just the awesome opportunity, incredible opportunity that's in front of these next few years, given the Olympics, given the Rugby World Cup, given the amount of attention, the eyeballs that will be here on rugby in the U.S. And if you're a competitive person, like you have to be, if you want to be a coach and you want to win, why wouldn't you want to be here and try and be, the straw that stirs the drink and all that? So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, and like I mentioned,
that was a baseball quote. That was Reggie Jackson, and
it was a
Reggie Jackson quote, I think.
Was that when he was with the A's or the Yankees?
I think the Yankees. Yeah, Yankees.
But I was serious about him. About this could be a huge time for American rugby next 7 years. Or it could be a horrible time. It could go the other direction, unfortunately. But
it could. But why would you bring it up, Bill? What the hell, man?
End of the show. No one's listening except for the three people that are still. I mean, it's all building. Major League Rugby's building. You see the fan base is building every team. We're growing more and more people. Colleges. I think it was Alex that was at UNH in New Hampshire recently and interviewed these guys saying we have so many more players in the team, and why? Because the women's rugby in the Olympics. That kind of stuff. So it's not just a women's game building because of women's success. It's all of it. It's the whole game.
I've watched more college rugby games because it's been streaming either on YouTube or Rugby Network over the last few years than I ever have, right? And how cool is that, right? Your club team's out there playing, and your family and friends can watch. That's cool.
That's the thing. And I was in Boston today, and I was walking to the site location I was on, and I saw 2 Harvard rugby sweatshirts on. And it just hit me. It's like, I know Colton Coriaga, the head coach of Harvard. He used to play for my old team at one point. I need to go down and see him. And then not far from him, down in Providence, Rhode Island from me, is Emily Bidwell. She coaches the Brown rugby team. There's so much great college rugby, at least where I am, but most places. I mean, there's really good programs. So for those listeners, get out and see a collegiate game. Cheer them on and get them going, because the programs are getting stronger and stronger, more professional. As far as how they treat it, it's back in the day, like at least when we played, there might have been 1 or 2 people drinking before the game. Doesn't happen as much anymore. maybe a different level.
B-side game. I mean, it doesn't count.
B-side.
Oh, B-side.
All right.
Best.
Yeah. Listeners, thank you so much for tuning in live tonight to listen to our interview with Simon Amor, the new USA Men's Rugby Sevens head coach. Wonderful bloke. He's an incredibly good interview with that guy. He's an incredible guy, and he will do some incredible work on the sidelines with those incredible players from the USA Eagles. Incredibly so. But if you're listening, you'll know why I'm saying incredible so much. In the meantime, please like, follow, and subscribe this show either on YouTube or Facebook, or on Thursdays, the podcast version of the show drops. Please follow, leave reviews, and leave comments in these live podcasts as well, and share it with your friends and enemies and anyone else. Let's get more and more listeners. Fitzy, have a great night. We'll chat next week. Cheers.
Cheers.